Goldie was in the kitchen cooking. Midas was asleep, and she could do this peacefully. If he were awake, he would bother her and say that they had a chef for this, she shouldn't be cooking, and sometimes she just wanted to do normal things. She rarely indulged by wearing the color gold that he liked so much, but sometimes she did it because she loved Midas truly. Thinking back, she wondered, how did she love him so? Why is it that she was still with him? He waited so long to marry her, and it had been even more years since he promised her children, and even now he still was delaying after all these years. Goldie did not know how many more childbearing years she had left. Sometimes she felt like love was making her be a fool, but she loved her man. What else was she to do? Should she leave? Should she stay? All of the people around her thought that she had it all. She knew that she did not. They were arguing more and more lately. They couldn't get along. The things that she loved about Midas were also the things that she didn't love about Midas. She saw his flaws early on and she embraced them, but now she wondered if that had been a mistake too. Later that evening, Goldie and Midas sat to talk, and Goldie said, "I don't want to argue with you." And Midas acknowledged that he didn't want to argue either, and he said, "I even have something for you." Goldie quickly let Midas know, "I love you, but I want a baby." And Midas quickly thought of an excuse like, "Oh, sure, we'll have some." And Goldie's like, "Let's start now." That was almost an offer that Midas couldn't turn down, but he knew that he needed one more step in his acting career. He wanted to be world famous. He was well known in Del Sol Valley, in Tartosa, but he wanted to be known everywhere. And Goldie let him know, "Please, let's just start our family." And Midas had to turn his back on that. Midas didn't want to lose Goldie, and as he laid his head to rest that night, he thought about how they met and when they got married. Looking back to his 30s, these were the days that Midas enjoyed. At the time, he felt like he needed more, wanted more, but he truly enjoyed this time. Midas would sometimes paint or play the guitar. He would do several different things. Now, he wasn't a great artist. He only had a limited experience, but he did have some experience painting. However, he was a great musician, a great singer. This was a day that would change Midas's life, and he could not tell that at the time. But hindsight is always 2020. His best friend Cassandra was back in town. She was staying for a couple of days. She was telling Midas that she had come to check in to see how his new sitcom was going. Midas was not the lead in the sitcom. There was definitely a lead sim. There were other sims that shared equal screen time as he did. He was so happy to have the role at first, but he started to tell Cassandra more and more that he felt like he deserved to be the leading guy. And Cassandra would tell him, "I'm working on a movie for you." Midas had ideas, and Cassandra always heard him out, but she always did her best. Cassandra would talk about the different roles that she's looking at for him as a baseball star, and he would say, "No, I want to do action." And she would say, "Midas, we've got to find a good role for you that's perfect for you, and it's going to be able to get you to a place where you can choose your roles." And they would laugh about it, but one thing that Cassandra was noticing was that they were starting to have a difference of opinion more and more about his career. She would try to respect his wishes, but Midas was becoming more demanding as well. And he had lots of ideas, and he should take an active role in his career. But Cassandra was wanting him to be realistic because she believed that he could be whatever he wanted to be. Cassandra was not just here to visit as his friend or his agent. She had also set up a meet and greet for Midas to schmooze with some stars in the industry. She was hoping that a couple of key players would come in to this party that she was throwing for him today. She was excited. She told Midas to be himself, and Midas spent his morning thinking about that party. Little did he know that that party would be the next landmark event that changed his future. Going over some routine expense reports, Cassandra notices some lines that don't seem to match up. Upon further investigation, she discovers that a lot of money is being funneled into some secretive executive accounts. Cassandra doesn't have much standing at the company yet, but this seems like the kind of thing she should take to the authorities, right? When Cassandra realized that something wasn't going right for the finances that she also managed for Midas, she decided to report to Midas that something was wrong, and she did confront him about it. Cassandra turns over all the incriminating papers to the local authorities after talking to Midas. They come down hard on the company fast and hard. A number of papers pick up the story, flashing Cassandra's name across the headlines after the dust has settled and the company cleans house, firing everyone involved with the whole scandal, including Cassandra. One defining event was when Cassandra got fired from the management agency, and she decided that she would start her own management company. Midas asked Cassandra what happened, how did it go, because Midas did not want anyone to be doing anything sketchy on his watch. He felt like she was absolutely right to report it. Midas had all types of hopes and dreams, but he wanted to get there honestly. He wanted to get there by hard work. So he absolutely supported Cassandra, but he wanted to ask her, what does this mean for his career? And she told him Midas will still have the party. She even laughed about it like it's going to be okay. At the get-together, Midas saw Judith Ward, who was one of the biggest stars at that time. And there he found out that she was actually a fan of his. And he couldn't believe it. So he signed an autograph for her. Then he actually invited her to sign an autograph for him. And it was a wonderful meeting of the minds. To know that Judith Ward watched his sitcom was crazy. And he wanted to introduce Goldie to her. And in that moment, he kind of wished he and Goldie had dressed up more. Midas even tried to pose for pictures and see if anybody picked him up, but nobody else really cared except for Judith. A couple of fans came eventually, and Midas felt really good. He loved the feeling that he had. When Judith asked to take a picture with Midas, it meant everything to Midas. He could not believe that she wanted to take a picture with him. Midas decided to order some food or snacks for everyone. At the bar, he was doing better financially. He had been spending money on certain things to make their house look fancier, putting pictures on the wall, things like that. While eating a meat and cheese platter, Midas looked to his left and he saw Dionysus. Dionysus was a guy who represented the stars. And he saw him approaching him and he was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm eating meat and cheese and Dionysus is here. Now, he will admit he thought that Dionysus was taller. This was Dionysus. Dion was a proper celebrity from being an agent. He was known to be a heavy hitter. Midas spent a lot of his time talking to Dion. Cassandra noticed that Midas kept talking to Dion throughout the day, and she started to worry because she had lost her job. She was going out on her own as an agent. Cassandra knew that she could take Midas where he needed to be in his career. It would also be good for her. Having a name as big as Midas's was now will help her boost her private clientele list. And at first, it seemed innocent enough. Midas introduced him to Goldie, and Dion said, oh, Goldie looks great, and she's someone who will look great by your side when you're even more famous. Midas was like, oh, but Goldie looked worried. Like, why would he say that? And he told Midas, I could do more for you than your current agent. No offense, buddy, but I could do better. He was like, I have a reputation. I'm known for helping people. He's like, I could take you where you want to be. All you need to do is sign a contract with me. You have to be willing to do woohoo scenes in the movies. And Midas is like, yeah, that's no problem. But that's something that Goldie didn't know. She didn't know. She was like, oh my gosh. Midas always said he wouldn't do those things. She was disturbed, but she knew that she needed to support Midas, but she figured she would talk to him at home about it. At this time, Dion asked what other talents Midas had so he could decide if he was going to take him on. Looking back, Midas realized Dion wanted to sign him, but also had to make it seem like he needed to audition. So Midas jammed out, and the people started to go crazy. They were like, look, Midas is over there. That's Midas King. He is playing the guitar. He is awesome. And Dion knew this is a star. I can take him to the height of all heights. I will get him to an A-lister. Everyone will know his name, and we will be rolling in the money, rolling in the dough. And as the people came out to join in, Midas did not even notice that Cassandra had left. Cassandra knew Dion was trying to take Midas away from her, and she planned to talk to him back at his place. By now, Midas had a huge crowd. Midas was a star, and Dion could see it, so he immediately approached him with a signing bonus. He's like, hey, I want to give you this signing bonus up front. And Midas said, I haven't agreed to sign with you. Midas said, I'm being represented by Cassandra, who's my best friend, and And Dion's like, huh, yeah, that's cute. But sometimes you got to step out and go big. Do you want to be an action star? Do you want to be whatever kind of star you can name? Because I can take you there, buddy. But you got to sign a contract with me and you got to agree that I will be your sole representative and your sole agent. And Midas was like, well, how exactly would this work? And Dion told him, everything you touch will turn to gold and diamonds. Everything, Midas. Midas is like, everything I touch will turn to gold? And Dion said, yes, everything. And when Midas reached out to do a handshake to seal the deal, Dion pulled him in. He said, hey, buddy, we're a team now. And this was another landmark that changed Midas's life. Midas thought it had been a wonderful day, and Goldie sat back and let him have the spotlight, and then they went home. When Midas got home, he decided that although he was tired, he should tell Cassandra that he got signed up with Dion. And Cassandra tried to look happy for him, but it was obvious that there was a strain there. She was not happy. She had heard bad things about Dion. As a matter of fact, when she had found the misproprieties at the company, Dion had been behind a lot of it, and she tried to warn Midas of that. But Midas deep down felt like she was jealous. Cassandra really only had his best interest at heart. She told him they called Dion a bear. Midas said, I want to make more. I want to do more. And you have not been listening to my needs. And Cassandra's like, it's not always about money. We have to do this right and you will get the money, Midas. But Midas is like, I can't keep doing this. I don't have the patience. I want to do everything. In this moment, Cassandra could not believe what Midas was saying to her. And it forever changed their relationship. She was such a happy sim. She had put her all into Midas. She had other clients as well, but Midas had been her most successful. He had the drive and the work ethic, but she couldn't believe he was saying these things to her. And she knew and he knew it would never be the same. Goldie heard the argument and she decided to stay out of it. She had research to do. Cassandra did decide to stay because their wedding was the next day. And she was also friends with Goldie, so she was not going to leave her alone on her wedding day. Cassandra was how Goldie and Midas connected to begin with. Goldie told Cassandra, it's gonna be okay. I'm so sorry that this happened to you, but you're gonna put yourself together. You're strong, and I'm gonna always be your friend. And Cassandra's like, what am I gonna do without my job, without Midas? Transitioning was scary, but Goldie let Cassandra know, if you have to move, whatever you have to do, I'm gonna be here for you. The next day, Midas did console Cassandra about her job, and she admitted as his friend that she was afraid of the future. Although Midas was consoling her, he was not as concerned as he would have normally been. He had made his decision, and his decision was to go with Dion. He didn't care about him having a bad reputation. He felt like he probably had that reputation because he worked so hard for his clients. And Midas was getting married today. He loved Goldie, and she would look perfect by his side. The next day before the wedding, Dion called and said, Midas, I gave Cassandra a fair shot, but the end result was what I expected. Our values don't align, and I'm not sure there's a way to work around that. Midas did not go for a traditional separation before the wedding. He was dip kissing Goldie right up until it was time for the wedding to start. He was flirting with her while telling her that he could not wait to marry her. And he promised her that he would be giving her the best of everything. Goldie was satisfied in their relationship, but there were things that bothered her, like why was Midas agreeing to do love scenes now or woohoo scenes? She didn't mind love scenes, she did mind woohoo scenes. These are things he promised her. Midas just had plans and he really just wanted Cassandra to be on board. He was starting to sell some paintings now, and today he wanted to update his social media status to let everybody know that he was getting married this evening. Now this was interesting because he had promised Goldie that they would have a small wedding. They didn't even plan it in advance publicly. They knew that they would be getting married this evening, but the reason they didn't plan it publicly is because they knew that if they did, the paparazzi would show up. But Goldie did not know at this time that Midas was posting about the wedding happening that evening on his social media, because she did not stalk his social media. She trusted him. That was her man, and if she could not trust him, then she did not need to be with him. Midas was even taking pictures, captioning them, "This is how I look before my wedding. How fine will I be after?" Just doing the most. I mean, really. He had put these pictures up on the wall, so the walls weren't as bare anymore. Goldie had done a special touch. He had updated his bed, this couch. He wanted everything to be golden, and he knew he wasn't there yet, so he did not feel bad about leaving Cassandra behind as his agent. Dion would call Goldie and invite her over, and Goldie felt like he was flirting, but she didn't want to say anything to Midas because she had already voiced her concerns. She can remember hugging Cassandra tightly before they headed out to the wedding. And she did ask Cassandra to be her sim of honor. She didn't ask her earlier because she thought that Midas would ask. Goldie was clumsy and she almost fell in her heels in her mermaid dress, but she was beautiful. She went in her purse to spray some perfume because she wanted to smell amazing on her wedding day. This is Utopia Mod, by the way. The fans were already out because Midas had told them about the wedding and tipped them off about the wedding, so they could barely even get pictures together. Midas spent his time hugging fans. They truly were a beautiful couple, but Goldie wanted Midas to be in a picture like they were together, not like she was a fan. So as all the guests began to take their seats, and this is why Goldie did not want celebrities at the wedding. Nobody could stay focused, and Midas would walk down the aisle. Goldie made her entrance. She was beautiful, and she did not wear gold like Midas wanted. However, she did give in to the gold jewelry that he bought her. She told Midas, "I'm wearing a white dress, not a gold one," but he bought her bracelets and golden diamond earrings and a gold necklace, and she did agree to wear those things. And she gave her vows with gusto because she meant every word. And Midas meant that he wanted her to be happy, but what Midas was missing was that her happiness would not come from things. And as she put the ring on his finger, they were not on the same page on some fundamentals, but they didn't know it. They were a young couple, they were in love, and this is what Midas remembered. Goldie was so happy to have married the man of her dreams, and everybody even came to congratulate them. For Goldie, their wedding was a bucket list item. She had waited 7 years to marry Midas. 7 years, almost 8, and she felt like this was perfect, even if it wasn't. She was so confident that she was able to dip kiss him, and all was beautiful in their world. They had the food spread out. They had the gold pillow wedding cake, and Goldie and Midas were going to cut this cake together. And just look at how beautiful Goldie looks. Oh my goodness. All the guests gathered around and they had on Who Shot Johnny What For. They had forgot to set a dress code. Goldie and Midas made such a cute couple as they fed each other their pillow cake, and they all began to sit down and eat. The food looked excellent, and the guests almost had a quiet reverence about them, while Cassandra moved away when Dion came closer because she absolutely did not want to be a problem at her best friend's wedding. Even though she could feel her relationship shifting with Midas, she did not want to ruin his big day. So Goldie excused herself to go to the restroom, and Cassandra resigned herself to being civil. There were celebrities all over and fans. Goldie was not as much of a people person as Midas, so she went into the bathroom to kind of freshen up, get herself together because she wanted to look her best. Can we talk about how beautiful Goldie is? Oh my gosh, she is one of the prettiest Sims I made. I say it all the time, but she really is. And I love this Utopia mod with the purse. This is the gift that Midas gave her, and she loved to carry all her knickknacks in there, and she loved her purse, not because it was designer, but because Midas gave it to her. And this would always be how they were different. Midas would do something for Goldie, Goldie would be appreciative, and Midas would think it's because of what it was or what it cost, but it was always because of him. In hindsight, Midas could see certain things, but he did not understand it. He didn't understand the problems they had now. He didn't understand why Goldie could not just be happy. So back at the party, as Midas decided to eat, all he could think about was how bright the future was, while Goldie could think about their future children and the love she has for Midas and how much she was gonna love their family, because the next thing she she dreamed about was becoming a parent, while Midas had dreamed about success. Midas told Goldie, "You look as good as gold." As the wedding began to wind down and some of the paparazzi left, Midas was feeling a little frisky, and this is one of the best things that he remembered. Steamy dynamic, yes. He remembered holding her hands and telling Goldie, "I'm gonna give you the world." And Goldie immediately told him, "I don't need the world, I only need you." By now, Midas was ready for this wedding event to end. He was ready for this wedding event to end. He wanted to take his new wife home. He just wanted to be with her. Midas had been characterized by these defining moments. At home that night, Cassandra was still there. Midas did want to take Goldie on a proper honeymoon, but they decided that they would leave out the next day. And so Midas serenaded Goldie. She was growing more in love with each note. And Goldie was dancing. Midas was being frisky. They were just enjoying their honeymoon night. These memories were so sweet that Midas wondered what went wrong. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. You're watching Just a Mom That Sims. I'm KT, and you have just finished watching the second episode in my fairy tale series, starting with Midas King. So, if you like to have fun and you like a good story, please consider liking, subscribing, following, commenting. Just do all the things. And until next time, remember, keep simming, be happy, and always have a blessed day. Bye-bye.